All right. Hello, everyone. I am Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises Women's Business Center. And thank you for joining us today. Just to give you a little information about us and what we do business consulting, marketing consulting, training workshops such as this. We also do micro and small business loans. So if you're in need of any of our services, please reach out. I will put my information, contact information in the chat. And our website will also be in there. And then a little later, I'll share some other upcoming classes that we have. But today we have Vashti Payat. I always tear her name up. It's either the first name or the last name. Say it for me, Vashti.
Vashti Payat.
Payat. So I'm sorry, I always do.
Okay.
I'm going to do it right next time, I promise. So she is here with us from MDOT, and she is going to share some information with us about Minority Business Enterprise certification. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Vashti Payat. I am the Outreach Coordinator for the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy. So I am the face that you will see regarding anything and everything regarding certification. So I'm here to give you a overview of what's expected, the eligibility standards, the application process, and just a few notes when you are going through the process, just a few things to remember and things of that nature. I try my best to not make it overwhelming. This is a lot of information, so I've condensed it to make sure it's not overwhelming because it is a very lengthy process. But in the end, if you are looking to work on a state contract or as a private sector, this will be definitely will be helpful for your business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you have any questions, I just ask that you hold them to the end because I don't want to interrupt, the presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me them at the end. And I will also put my contact information in the chat as well. I definitely want to make sure that I am a resource to you all. So I'm going to share my screen. And if everyone could mute their mics, please, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All righty. So we're going to begin. As I said before, I am Vashti Payat, the Outreach Coordinator for the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview on what MBE, DBE, and AC/DBE certification is and the application process. So as you all may or may not know, MDOT, Maryland Department of Transportation, is the official certification agency for the state of Maryland. It is known to be the oldest and the largest MBE program in the country, established in 1978. And we are one of the most aggressive programs in the nation with a 29 MBE participation goal and contract sub goals. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the abbreviations that I mentioned in the beginning. So we have 4 types of certification. So we have MBE certification, we have DBE certification, we have AC/DBE certification, and then finally we have SBE certification. So MBE certification is our minority business enterprise, and this deals with our state-funded contracts. Next, we have our disadvantaged business enterprise certification, and that goes with the US DOT contracts administered by State Highway Administration, the Maryland Aviation Administration, the Maryland Transit Administration, and other metropolitan planning organizations. And these are going to be federally funded contracts. Now, just like the DBE certification, AC/DBE is also going to be federally funded. And those are going to be our airport concession contracts that are administered by MDOT MAA, so with our Maryland Aviation Administration. And finally, we have our small business enterprise, our SBE certification, and that's going to be our US DOT contracts that are administered by MDOT SHA, MAA, and MTA. And the difference between SBE from AC/DBE and DBE is that SBE is race and gender neutral. So anyone is able to apply for the SBE certification. And with SBE certification, just like our MBE certification, you are able to compete on contracts as a prime. So I'll talk a little bit about that further on in the PowerPoint. Now, here at MDOT, we are all about access and opportunity. So we want to make sure that you, as the person who is certified with the Maryland Department of Transportation, has access to those opportunities. So one of the biggest things that I always mention is that you will be listed in our directory of certified firms. Now, this this directory has over 7,000 firms. So it is used by government agencies, certain consultants, contractors, private sector companies, or anyone that is looking for an MBE is going to be using that directory that is on our website. It is public record, so anyone can access it. So one of the benefits of being certified is that your firm and all of your contact information, as well as your references for your business or for your firm, will be put in your profile, and it will be on that directory of certified firms. Now, this will also allow you to have greater exposure to government and private sector contracting opportunities. There is, as you being part of that database in the directory, you will be able to get emails on an e-blast about opportunities that are coming up before the general public. So that is another great benefit of being certified with MDOT. Now, I also want to mention that all MBE and DBE certified firms, you are required and you are the ones that will be able to fulfill the minority participation goal. So that's another benefit of being certified with MDOT. You are looked at as the ones that will be able to fulfill that minority participation goal. Now, in addition to that directory, knowing that you will be working with state contracts, we want to make sure that you have advocates that are going to help you resolve any issues that may arise. So we are adamant about enforcing MBE compliance policies, but we are also adamant about making sure that you are paired with an MBE liaison. So depending on which state agency you are working with, every state agency has an MBE liaison. Again, every state agency has an MBE liaison. So if you have not been paid promptly or haven't been paid on time, or if there's an issue within the contract, you will contact the MBE liaison who will go to bat on your behalf. So make sure that you check that out. That list is listed on our website as well as the governor's website. And I'll provide a link to all of everything that I mentioned today to Lisa so that you all have it in hand or in one place in an email. So everything that I mentioned, all the links that I mentioned, you will receive at the conclusion of this presentation. And again, why do we certify? So we want to make sure that only bona fide, disadvantaged, and minority-owned firms are receiving MBE and DBE certification. That is one of our main goals. We want to make sure that you are a disadvantaged and minority-owned firm that is competing on these contracts. We deter fraud and abuse when it comes to the certification process, because we want to make sure that our MBEs are getting those opportunities and that they are going through the process and that everything is legitimate with their business, because there have been instances where things have gotten a little weird, a little murky with some of the businesses who claim that they are minorities. So we want to make sure that we are looking at all of our businesses and making sure we are fulfilling that goal. And again, that goal is 29%. So we have a 29% MBE goal that we have and that we are trying to meet on a regular basis. So just an FYI, very quickly, there is no cost at all to apply for certification. The application is completely free. There is no cost to maintain or anything of that nature. The application is completely free. There may be portions of the application where it asks you to provide documentation, and I believe it's with regarding with the Business Express regarding tax information to see if that you are in good standing. We just ask that you submit a screenshot of that notification saying that you are within good standing and that is suitable. So if you do see a fee, if you would like to pay the fee, that is fine. That's up to you. But for our application, we just require a screenshot just to show proof that you are within good standing with the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. All right, so is the program working? So in fiscal year 2020, MBEs were awarded $1.1 billion in the state procurement contracts. So that represents about 14% of MBEs. In the total, that was about $6.9 billion in contracts awarded by the 70 participating agencies within the state of Maryland. And as you heard me say before, 29% is our goal. And you see, we did not meet that goal. So we need our MBEs to apply for certification because we want to be able to meet that goal of 29% and have our MBEs participate on a number of state contracts that we have and that we know are coming up in the next fiscal years. Now, just a few marketing tips, just to keep in mind when you are going after state government contracting or any contract, whether it's with the private sector or consultant, just a few things to remember. So first, I'll start with the state. As you heard me say before, there are 70 agencies within the state of Maryland, and they're buying various number of products, and they are enlisting a number of services that are needed. So again, 70 agencies. So there are a number of contracts that are out there. And just like I said about the 70 agencies, you want to make sure that you identify your customers. So based on what your business does or what you are planning to do, make sure you identify your customers. So which state agency do you think is best suitable for you? So I want you to do your homework, figure out which agency or which company will be best suitable for you, and it will provide a greater pathway into how you will navigate through the state contracts, which events you should attend, and things of that nature. So make sure you identify and do the research and the homework on your potential customers. Be willing to start small. I don't want anyone to be intimidated that you are a small business. I've seen a lot of small businesses land really, really big contracts. So be willing to start small. Be willing to build up your reputation, network, and meet with a lot of people at these outreach events as a small business. It is okay, and you will be successful either way. So be willing to start small. Never be ashamed of your business being small. And in addition to that, we want to make sure you develop a business plan. So how do you see your business growing? Where do you see it at the end of the year or next year? Make sure that you write a plan down so that you can write it down and you can commit it to memory so that whenever you're doing a contract, you're constantly reminding yourself, okay, I'm just sticking to the plan. This is what I'm doing. Or where do you want your business to go? So I always tell my small businesses, if you don't have a plan, you're just kind of shooting in the dark. It's not always going to work. So make sure that you have a plan and you know where you want your business to go and how you want it to grow. Now, in addition to the plan and starting small and identifying your customer, when it comes to state agencies and their procurement, make sure that you are familiar with the procurement process, the language such as RFP, what are pre-bid meetings, anything of that nature. We want to make sure that you are familiar with that terminology and that language. All of that can be found on our website, but I can also go into detail about it towards the end during our questions. So I can just give you just a little one-on-one on what to expect during those procurement process and those pre-bid meetings. Now, with those outreach events that you will be attending, hopefully in the near future, or the virtual outreach events that you will be attending, make sure you have a capability statement for your business. It's basically just a resume of what your business does and how you can basically help that particular agency or that company succeed. So make sure you have a capability statement. You can email it to businesses, you can hand it out to businesses and networking events, but make sure you have a capability statement. And I can actually send you all a sample capability statement that is really, really good for you just to kind of use as a skeleton, just to, plug in your information where it's needed, just to help your business succeed during those outreach events. And finally, the most important one, master your elevator speech. You never know who you'll meet or where you'll meet them. So make sure you have that 30-second elevator speech prepared. I always say 30 seconds because as an elevator, it goes up fast, comes down, you only have but so much time until those doors open again. So make sure you have those 30 seconds to introduce yourself and make a lasting impression on those state agencies. So those are the marketing tips that I highly recommend. They're very, very important, especially if you are going after a contract with the state or any company that's out there. Now, who does what in government purchasing? So there are 3 tiers, as I call them. So you have the state agency, you have the prime and the general contractor, and then you have the subcontractor. So the state agency, they're the ones who advertise the entire solicitation. They're the ones who award the contract to the prime or the general contractor, and they're also responsible for paying the prime contractor. Now, after the state agency, you have your prime and general contractor, and they're the ones who bid on the complete contract. They work for the state agency and they pay the subcontractors. So after the prime and general contractors, you then have your subcontractors, and they're the ones who bid on a portion of the contract. They work for the prime contractor. So again, I know that was a lot to kind of take in, but I will provide this PowerPoint to you all at the end as well, just so you can review and add it to your notes. But this is how the setup is for government purchasing of contracts. Now, the MBE, DBE, and ACDBE role. So only firms who are certified as an MBE, DBE, or ACDBE can fulfill the minority participation goal on a state contract. So again, only firms who are certified as MBE, DBE, or ACDBE can fulfill the minority participation goal on a state contract. Now, for those MBEs that want to be prime contractors, I do want to mention that you can count your participation on contracts with an MBE goal for up to 50% of the established MBE contract goal and 100% of one contract sub goal. So that's going to be for our MBE prime contractors. If you have any questions about that, if you want me to go into further detail, I know time is limited. Please feel free to send me an email, and then we can have a discussion just to further explain how the MBE prime contractors are set up in their role in certification. Now, in addition to access and opportunity, we want to make sure that we are connecting you to those opportunities. So the next 2 slides are going to be resources that are very, very helpful for minorities, especially minority women that are looking for contracts within the state of Maryland. So we have the Department of General Services. They're the ones who are responsible for Maryland Marketplace Advantage. So I highly recommend that if you have not done so already, that you do register as a vendor on Maryland Marketplace Advantage. This is the hub where the Maryland state agencies will advertise solicitations of $15,000 or more. And that also applies to local county and city governments, where they will also advertise these local procurements. So make sure that you register for Maryland Marketplace today. I highly recommend. You do not have to be certified in order to register, but there are going to be very specific about those solicitations on whether or not you need to be MBE certified. So please pay close attention to that. But if you want to register today, you can go ahead and do so. You do not have to be MBE certified. Now, while you are registering for Maryland Marketplace Advantage, you can also register for the Small Business Reserve Program. And that's also an online self-registration that you can do today. And that's also where 15% set aside by all state agencies are placed. So make sure that you register for both Maryland Marketplace Advantage and the Small Business Reserve Program. Now, I do have the link here, www.procurement.maryland.gov, and this is where you will be able to find all the technical trainings, information, and frequently asked questions about the Small Business Reserve Program or anything related to the Maryland Marketplace Advantage. So I just want you to, jot down that website. Just remember that this is where you can find all instructions on how to navigate through these two programs. Now, make sure that you use your resources. So we want to make sure that you join a professional organization and become an active member. Professional organizations are there to help you and network with you in order for you to be able to succeed in the state of Maryland when it comes to having a successful business. So make sure you join those professional organizations and become an active member. As I mentioned before, please make sure you attend the outreach events, procurement fairs, and matchmaking events. This is where a lot of networking will also take place. And this is where you will use your capability statement and use that elevator speech to introduce yourself and let these companies know what you have to offer. And as I mentioned before, please network with other businesses. I always encourage you all to network with each other as well. So use the chat to introduce yourself and what your business does. I've seen a lot of cases where businesses have come together as one and worked on a contract together and have been very, very successful. So please make sure that you network with other businesses. And one of the most important ones, especially since we are in the digital age, make sure that you are properly utilizing your social media. You never want your personal social media and your business social media to overlap. I've seen many cases where this has happened and people have lost contracts. So make sure that your social media for your business is on one end and your personal social media is on another end, and they never overlap. That goes with Facebook, that goes with Twitter, Instagram, not so much LinkedIn, but make sure that everything is separated from personal and business. That is key into being successful, especially in this day and age where everything has transferred over to the digital phase. So make sure you remember that. Now, one of the main resources that is available is going to be the Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs. So this is the state's primary advocate for small, minority, and women-owned businesses, and they're the ones who connect you to those contracting and procurement opportunities for MBEs and through that SBR program that I mentioned before. They also have a great resource known as Procurement Forecast for our small businesses, and it can be accessed on their website. I will also provide a link for that as well in the email that you will all receive, because that forecast is very, very helpful, and it will also give you insight on upcoming contracts that are coming up. So you can search by either region, or you can search by business entity or anything of that nature. You can go on that procurement forecast and find upcoming contracts within the state of Maryland. Now, in addition to the procurement forecast, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of our calendar of events. We post all events that are happening within the state of Maryland. It could be a networking event, a technical training, a workshop, anything of that nature is going to be listed on our website. So MDOT, DGS, and the Governor's Office all have calendars that are updated on a regular basis. So please feel free to use the links here to access the websites to see their calendar of events for the upcoming months. I do want to mention that for DGS, they do have trainings on how to access Maryland Marketplace Advantage. So I definitely would register for that. Maryland Marketplace Advantage is one of the main things that is going to be used when you are going after contracts with the state of Maryland. So please make sure you check out all calendar of events. All right, now we're going to get to the important stuff. So what makes you eligible for certification? So when we are looking at certification, we want to look at 5 eligibility standards that each applicant must meet. So we look at ownership, we look at minority status, we look at control, we look at personal net worth, and we also look at size. So I'm going to go through all 5 of these in the next slides, just briefly explaining which one, not which one, but what each one requires. So first we have ownership. So as an MBE, a DBE, or an ACDBE, that is a small business that is at least 51% independently owned and controlled by one or more socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. This is our definition of ownership. Now, your ownership must be real and substantial. You must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, and firms that are headquartered in Maryland must be in good standing with the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. Now, after ownership, we do have minority status. So the certain groups that are presumed to be socially disadvantaged include women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, subcontinent Asian Americans, and for our MBE program only, disabled persons. Now, I do want to mention before I move on that firms owned by ethnic women are duly certified. So firms owned by ethnic women are duly certified. So you're going to be certified as a woman and in your identified ethnicity. Again, you'll be certified as a woman and in your identified ethnicity. Now, just want to make a quick note about minority status. Now, if you were not listed in the group, in the presumed groups that I mentioned beforehand, you will have the opportunity to show and prove to the OMBE office that you are socially and economically disadvantaged. Now, we'll mention that this is not an easy case to prove. However, you will have the opportunity to do so if you did not see your group listed in the list in the slide beforehand. Now, this is one of the most important eligibility standards out of the 5, and it's going to be control. So this is our definition of control as it relates to being certified with the Maryland Department of Transportation in any of our certifications. So the minority owner and owners, they must have an overall understanding of managerial, technical competence, as well as experience that is directly related to the type of business in which the firm is seeking certification. This is extremely important. I can't stress this enough. You have to be able to have this experience, that technical competence, and those managerial skills about the business that you are seeking certification. Because if you do get on a contract and you are unable to perform what they're asking you for, you can run into a few issues. So we want to make sure that you have all 3 of these, I guess, technical competence, managerial experience. You have these 3 tiers when you are applying for certification with MDOT. Now, when it comes to being certified, our firms are certified in their specific areas of work, and we use the North American Industry Classification System, also known as NAICS codes. I've also provided the link for NAICS codes, and it can be found on the census website that is here highlighted in blue. And you can actually do homework ahead of time before you apply to see which NAICS code is best suitable for your business. They give a detailed description of each NAICS code and what it entails. So I ask you all to do your research, do your homework in regards to which NAICS codes would be best suitable for your business. And those are also known as NAICS codes. Now, in addition to control, I want to talk about personal net worth. So in order for us to evaluate your economic disadvantage, each minority has to submit a personal financial statement. So every minority owner must submit a personal financial statement. So this basically shows us the net value of the assets that are held by the individual, and also whether you are married, the minority applicant's portion of jointly held assets. So I do want to mention before I talk about the MBE and DBE caps that the personal net worth calculations do not include the applicant's personal residence, or the value of the applicant's business. So again, the applicant's personal residence and the value of the applicant's business is not calculated in the PNW. Now, there is a wonderful resource on our website that shows you how to calculate your personal net worth, because that is one of the most important things that is going to be needed for your application. Now, when it comes to personal net worth, every certification has a cap. So when it comes to the MBE program, the Minority Business Enterprise cap, there is a cap that is adjusted on an annual basis. So right now it is currently standing at $1,847,024. Now, when it comes to DBE and ACDBE, the cap is going to be $1.32 million. Now, when it comes to personal net worth, I know I'm going to get this question. There is no minimum. So you want to make sure that you are within that cap, so that you are under that 1.32 or that 1.84. So there is no minimum, but we do have to set a cap to make sure that we are keeping it within our program. But this cap is actually adjusted on an annual basis. So please be mindful of that. Next, we are going to talk briefly about size. So all of our applicants must be small. So the size standards are set by the SBA under Regulation 13 CFR Part 121. So size standards are then determined by industry based on those NAICS codes that I mentioned before. And I do want to just mention this, that any firm that is seeking DBE certification, you cannot exceed the current DBE size standard of $28.48 million. Again, you cannot exceed the size standard of $28.48 million. And all this information can also be found on the SBA's website at www.sba.gov/size. Now the application process. So this is a 4-step process. We have the application, we have the investigation, we then have the evaluation, and then finally we have the determination. So first, when the applicant is submitting an application, you can either do it online or as a hard copy version. Now, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do the online version because it serves as a triple check. Most of our applications that are submitted via hard copy are marked as incomplete because there are portions where they have completely, missed it, or they did not fill it out and they did not triple check their work. So make sure you do the application online. It serves as a triple check. Also, you can save as you go on our online application. You will have 60 days to complete the entire process. Now, I do want to mention that you will be able to log in and out. You'll be able to create a username and a password for your online application. So again, you will have 60 days to complete that entire application, and it serves as a triple check. It will let you know if there is anything blank because it will not let you submit the entire application. Now, when it comes to the application, if there is anything on the application that does not apply to you or you are unable to answer, it is okay to put NA or does not apply, but we also ask that you give us a very, very brief explanation as to why it does not apply to you. It makes it a lot easier for our MBE officers to review, but we also want to make sure that when you're filling out the application, you're not just putting NA or does not apply. We want to make sure that we have an explanation as to why. Now, once you have completed that process, you will then enter the investigation phase. And this is where an MBE officer will review that entire application that you submitted online or via hard copy, and they will conduct a virtual on-site interview. They did do the on-site interviews in person, but due to COVID, those have been suspended and they've transferred over to virtual on-site interviews. I am not at liberty to give detail as to how they conduct those virtual interviews. However, they will give you specific instructions via email on how they will conduct that interview and what they expect for you to have in place during that interview. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that. and that will be your investigation phase. So once they do the virtual on-site interview or that virtual job site visit, they will then write a report of all the findings that they had from that investigation. Now, once that investigation phase is complete, you will then enter the evaluation phase. So you may or may not have to meet with the MBE advisory committee so they can further ask you questions about that initial report that was given from that investigation. I'm not going to say it's not an interrogation or anything of that nature. They just want to find out more information about your business because they just want to make sure that all bases are covered before they approve you for your application. Now, I do want you to know that once you have completed that evaluation, you will then enter the determination phase where that chairperson of the MBEAC will issue a written determination. So they will let you know if you have either been denied or approved. Now, if you have been denied, they will give you an explanation as to why you have been denied. They will also give you a written explanation on your approval as well. But I do want to talk about the denial portion of the determination. If that does happen, they will tell you the amount of time that you have to reapply for certification. But I also want to mention that if you do apply for multiple NAICS codes for certification, it is very, very possible for you to be approved in one NAICS code and denied in the others. So I do want you to be aware that you can be approved in one NAICS code, one or two NAICS codes, and you can be denied in the other NAICS code. So I do want you to be aware of that. Now, our out-of-state firms, if we have any present with us today, you must be certified in your home state before applying in Maryland. So again, all out-of-state firms must be certified in their home state before applying in Maryland. Now, I mentioned, talked a little bit about this earlier. This is the online application. We ask that you utilize Google Chrome. For some reason, it is more friendly with our system than Safari or Firefox. So we ask that you utilize Google Chrome. Again, you have 60 days to complete your application. If you do want to get a head start, and just kind of get a look at what the UCA is, that's our application for certification and what's expected, you can utilize the link here at the top right here, and it'll take you directly to a PDF version of the application, just so you can get an idea of all of the documentation that is needed for your application before you upload it or submit it via certified mail. Now, if you do the application via hard copy, we want to make sure that you submit it via certified mail to the Maryland Department of Transportation in Hanover. If you plan to do that, they will provide you with all details on how to send that application via hard copy and where to send it to. Now, as I mentioned before, do not leave any blanks on your application. If you do, it'll be marked as incomplete, and it will cause a major delay in your certification process. Again, if there is something on the application that you cannot answer, you can simply put NA or does not apply. So again, you can put NA or does not apply. Now, when you are doing the hard version of your application, we ask that you put it in a 3-ring binder and you separate each section of the application by dividers. This is to help you essentially, but also to help our MBE officers as well. We want to make sure that everything is organized and that you keep everything on track, whether you add new certifications or licenses to your application or certification. You want to make sure that you have everything in one place. I am a firm believer that we are all human and we do make mistakes, so there might be things that we may overlook. So if you have that application in a binder for yourself, your own copy, you'll be able to triple check our office as well. Now, the certification time. So how long does it take for me to be certified? So it takes an average of 90 to 120 days for the certification process. It is a very in-depth process because they want to make sure that everything in that application is legitimate. They want to make sure that there are, no issues or anything wrong with the application, and they want to make sure that everything is filled to its entirety. So It takes an average of 90 to 120 days to complete. Now, if you do have an application, we unfortunately have suspended the in-person application reviews due to COVID. However, we highly encourage you all to contact our OMB office. They are there to assist you and answer any questions that you may have. And their number is 410-865-1269. And they are the ones that will assist you with anything that you need help with regarding your application. And as I mentioned before, if there is a delay in your application, it's more than likely due to your application being incomplete. So we're pushing for the online version of the application just to serve as a triple check to make sure you don't leave anything blank. Now, once you have completed that entire process, congratulations, you are now certified as an MBE, DBE, AC, DBE, or SBE with the Maryland Department of Transportation. Now, once you have completed that, you want to make sure that you complete your annual online certification review. This is extremely important. If you do not do this, you will lose your certification. Oh, excuse me. And you will have to do your certification all over again. And we don't want that for any of our small businesses. So put a star next to online annual review because you will need to do this on a regular basis, on an annual basis. Now, as I mentioned before, that directory of certified firms with over 7,000 profiles is going to be concerning or alarming for some people to know that there's that many people in that directory. But we want you to stand out. So add references to your profile. Who have you worked with before? Who have you worked with in the past? Who was someone who is going to be an advocate for your business and make sure that you get work, whether it's with the state or anybody else, or with your profile being on our directory, who can I contact to show or ask, okay, how is their business work? Are they good to work with? Things of that nature. So make sure you have references on your profile. There is a form for that. I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. There is a form for the references. It has a 24-hour turnaround time, and you can have up to 3 references on your profile. Excuse me. Whew. Give me 1 second. Let me get some water. Okay, now, finally, we're going to talk briefly about Small Business Enterprise Program. And this program is race and gender neutral, and it is designed to provide prime contracting opportunities to our small businesses. So that's going to be with the Aviation Administration, Highway Administration, and Transit Administration. So the purpose of the SBE program is to facilitate competition and eliminate obstacles to make sure that our small businesses are able to participate as a prime contractor on MDOT federally funded contracts. So want to make sure again that our SBE program applies only to MDOT SHA, MTA, and MAA, and is race and gender neutral. And just briefly, I'm just going to go over a few of the eligibility standards with regards to SBE. Again, race and gender neutral. You must be a small business as defined by the SBA. A firm's average gross receipts cannot exceed the US DOT size standard of $28.48 million. At least 51% of the firm's ownership must not exceed the PNW cap of $1.32 million. And this applies for all of our certifications. All firms must be organized for profit. And again, the 51% owners or owner must be a US citizen or permanent resident. Now, I do want to mention that if you are currently DBE certified, you will automatically be certified as an SBE. So if you apply for DBE certification, you will automatically be certified as an SBE. Now, I promised that I would give you my contact information. My name is Vashti Pyatt. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy. So please feel free to contact me. I am best reached by email. But I just ask that, you give me 24 hours to respond. I do respond in a very, very timely manner. I know there have been a lot of outreach events that we've been having. So feel free to just give me a call or send me an email. Again, I always give back to our small businesses. So if you have any questions regarding outreach events or anything of that nature, please feel free to contact me. And also, if you run into any issues with contacting the OMB office, if they're not able to get in contact with you, if they don't respond, I always tell all of my participants, please send me an email as soon as possible. If you run into any issues, send me an email, give me a call, because I will be able to go directly to the person in charge to make sure that the issue is handled. So please feel free to contact me at any time. Now, if you do have any questions regarding personal net worth or tax information, anything of that nature, we want to make sure you talk to the experts. So that's going to be our Office of Minority Business Enterprise. You can contact them via email, or you can just give them a call at 410-865-1269. Sometimes you will be asked to leave a voicemail, but they do always call you back. So if you have any questions regarding P&W, tax information, anything of that nature, please contact the OMB office. And if you need additional support, again, feel free to contact me, send me an email, or just give me a call. And that actually concludes our presentation. And now we will take questions.
Awesome. Now's the time to ask questions. If you want to unmute yourself to ask a question, please feel free. Wow, nobody has any questions?
That was an excellent presentation, I will say.
Yes, it was. Thank you,
Yes.
Vashti.
I have a question.
Okay.
I tried and probably because I didn't probably see this training, but I tried a couple of months ago to register as a minority on the as a minority, but was told by someone in that department that just because I'm a female and African American, that does not qualify me as a minority owner and a business owner. I was told that it would take at least 6 months to a year, probably longer, to be registered, and that just deterred me. So everything I was thinking just went down the drain. But hearing Ms. Pyatt speak on it today, I guess my question would be, I know there may be a lot of inside things that we don't know, but is that true?
Okay, so I am a firm believer of not sugarcoating anything. I'm going to tell you straight up. If you are a woman and if you are African American, I don't know why they told you that you are not eligible to be an MBE. I apologize on their behalf because that is completely incorrect, and I'm not sure why they told you that. And that concerns me very much, because now we're pushing a lot of our MBEs away when we should be bringing them in. So that is incorrect. But no, if you are a woman and if you are African American, you are very eligible to apply for certification. The only thing I will say that will deter you from that would be if you were above that personal net worth cap. So if your business was above that personal net worth cap, okay, that would unfortunately disqualify you. But if you are within that cap, if you are a woman and you are African American, I'm not seeing why they told you no.
And another question, will I have to before even applying for the application. I'm just relaying what was told to me a couple of months ago. Before I didn't know I could even complete an application because I was told I had to attend a workshop before even putting in the application. That's why I signed up for this, because I wanted to see if all of that was correct. But here you say you can go on and apply, do an application. But I'm telling you, I was told some different, those things I was told.
Yeah, and again, to me that hurts me, because I'm the one who does the workshops that you're talking about. And there's no prerequisite. So like, if you are a brand new business, you can go ahead and apply for certification. You don't have to attend our training. We recommend it because there are some things that some people may ask questions, or there might be additional information that you didn't catch. But it's not required to attend our training workshops. I've known people who said, okay, cool, I want to do MB certification, and go ahead and start applying the next day. They don't have to attend our trainings. So that's not required. So again, that hurts me, because I'm like, wait, that is not a requirement. We encourage it, definitely, but it's not a requirement. So if you have, because I know there are people who have done this process before, have not completed it, but they already know what to expect. So yeah, it's definitely not a requirement. So if you want to start applying today, go right ahead.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem.
Anybody else have questions?
Hi, I have a question. Now, once you get, let's say, approved, right, to conduct business as a MBE or DBE, now with the Maryland DOT, does that also give you jurisdictions to do business in cities such as Baltimore? Like some state, like in New York, you could be certified with the city of New York, but not necessarily, outside of the city. You know what I mean? Like, does it cover just the whole state, the city? What is my jurisdictions here in terms of?
Okay, so that will also require you to do some research on your own as well. But for the state of Maryland, it does cover the Maryland as a whole. Now, I will say, Baltimore has their own certification that they have within house, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, I think it's PG County. They have their own certification as well for just so they can, because they have certain contracts within their jurisdiction. So you will have to do research on that particular jurisdiction. But for the state, it does cover majority of the state, but there are some places like Baltimore City, they have their own certification that you will need to do. Now, I do want to mention that if you are certified in Baltimore City, there have been a lot of people that are saying that there's reciprocity with the state. That is incorrect. You will have to get your certification with Maryland, because they have their own eligibility standards versus the eligibility standards with the state of Maryland.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And also, now let's say I'm certified. Maryland DOT contract me personally, or my entity, or do I get contracted by third parties on behalf of, and how does it work, the process, like with the business process?
So they have a procurement process. So you will be in contact with that state agency, but you'll be in contact with that procurement officer, and they will give you more detail on how to go about that, or how to move about that contract. So it won't be like myself trying to employ you. You will have to go through that procurement office for that particular state agency. Yeah.
Right. But my employer, I'm sorry, what I want to ask you guys is that, would my employer be a bigger contractor? Let's say, would I be working as a subcontractor to a larger contractor on the recommendation of the MDOT, or does I contractually, do I directly, contract with the MDOT,
Okay, so
go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so now I hear what you're saying. So basically, as I mentioned before, it's like a 3-tier So you have the state agency, and they're the ones who employ the that prime contractor or the general contractor. And the prime and the general
Right.
contractors are the ones who employ the subcontractor. So if you're the subcontractor, you are going to be working for that prime contractor, and that prime contractor is going to be working for that state agency.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Can we get a copy of that or no? You know, I know it's recorded, but
Yes,
is that-
No,
I'm gonna
Yep.
send you the recording, which has all the PowerPoint and everything within it. That's what we
Okay.
normally do.
Do you send it through an email? Do you send it through
Yes,
the
we'll send
email?
it right to your email.
Okay.
and also, I know I mentioned certain links, but like about the procurement forecast and things of that nature. Send me an email, and I'll send it to you. I'll send you a list of all the procurement forecasts, email marketplace, small business reserve, just a direct link to all of those. You can definitely send me an email, and I'll send it to you immediately after this webinar. So, yeah.
All right, sounds good.
All right, well, thank you so much, Vashti. I'd like to mention a couple other workshops that we have coming up this week and next week. So I'm gonna share my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yeah, small.
Yeah. Or you can see it? It says online self-paced courses.
Mm-hmm. All right, see.
Okay.
Okay, so that is our actual, if you're starting a business, just starting out, and you'd like to take our first steps of starting your own business class, which is an online self-paced class. All these classes are free. So that I would definitely take advantage of that class. It's like I said, you can start it, you can work on it, and then come back to it. And each section, there's at the end of each section, there's questions, and then we get the answers to those questions. That way we can see if you're on track, and we can communicate back and forth with you. If if you have any other additional questions, and make sure that you're on track with that. And then on Thursday, unique and powerful, out of the box ways to promote your online event. So that's from 12 to 1:30. That's also a webinar. All of them are still webinars. And on the 18th, research to revenue. And that is from 12 to 1 as well. I put the links to these in the chat as well. If you click right on the link, it takes you right to the registration page. So, and then on the 20th, how to write a business plan and project cash flows. So once you get onto the website on that link, you'll see all of them. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Lisa, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yes, awesome. I was glad to be on. I had just checked my junk mail, and I saw this webinar that was going to be going on today. So it's been very informational. Thank you for having it.
Well, great. Thank you for joining us. All right, Vashti, thank you again. And we'll get together because we usually try to offer these twice a year in the spring and in the fall. So we'll be offering this again in the fall. Some people join us 3 and 4 times before they, because it takes time to complete the process. Plus you're working, you got family stuff going on. So if you have to join us all 4 times or whatever, however many times, just keep joining us. That
Thank
way you
you.
get your answers. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you. Thanks much.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.